welcome back to the country kitchen. Is it Thanksgiving time? No. We are middle of October and I bought a couple turkeys from the grocery store because our canned turkey supply is gone. So it's time to restock that. So we're gonna be pressure canning 2 big birds today. They're both about 22 pounds. And we're gonna pressure can them so we can pull them off of the bones and shred the meat. And then I will be putting the meat into quart jars or pint jars, or maybe some of both. And then we will pressure can them again to seal the jars. And then we'll have it for quick and healthy meals. But the meat is fully cooked and ready to go into whatever you wanna put it in. So we like to have canned turkey and chicken done like this, and I'm gonna show you today how we do the turkeys. And then we're gonna wind up saving all of the carcasses, the bones of each turkey, and I will cook that with some vegetables and some more seasoning, and we're gonna make our own bone broth. But today we are pressure canning these whole turkeys. We're gonna pressure can them 3 minutes per pound. So that's about an hour per bird, give or take a couple minutes. And then you will get to see how tender the meat is. It just literally falls off the bones. So let's get started. All right, like I said, each one of these birds is about 22 pounds. And I've got 2 pressure cookers here. I did rinse the turkeys, as you saw. I'd like to just make sure there's no feather pieces still left in them. I take the bag of organ meats out and we dispose of those. We don't care to eat them, but I will be cooking the turkey necks today. It does help that you have a large pressure canner for this job. Add a couple inches of water. All right, on top I'm gonna sprinkle some salt and pepper. More pepper than salt is our preference. I've got some garlic powder. I have some thyme leaves and some rosemary leaves. And I've got some chopped dried basil. Now you can use whatever you like. These are just this is the combination that we prefer. All right, and then I use 10 pounds pressure. So we'll just let that come up to pressure and cook for an hour. And then we'll let it naturally, the pressure naturally release. And then once the pressure gauges back down to 0, then I'll open it up and show you how tender the meat is. Look how tender this is. Still very hot, but it just falls apart. That tender breast meat. Yummy. you want to save this broth because I use it when I pack the jars. Once we get them full of meat, then I'll put the broth over top before we process them to seal the jars. It's very healthy bone broth. So we've already gotten a lot out of the turkey bones, but I'm gonna process them again to make more bone broth. All right, guys, here is the beautiful turkey broth or bone broth. And then here we have the shredded turkey that I'm going to put in some canning jars. And then here is our container of bones and little meat fragments that I'm going to try to suck more life out of and make some turkey bone broth so we can can that as well. So I'm going to go get the big roaster that we're going to make bone broth in, and we're going to get that going because it needs to cook overnight. Now we're moving on to the bone broth. I brought up my 16-quart roaster oven, and I went ahead and dumped all of the bones from the 2 turkeys in there. And to that, I'm going to show you what we're going to add next. To this, I'm just going to add some chopped celery. And this doesn't have to be pretty. We're just using it for the flavor. These are some of our homegrown turnips, so I'm gonna throw those in there. You can use whatever kind of vegetable that you like or that you have on hand and it needs to be used up. Carrots, I'm just gonna add this whole package. Right, I said I was going to add some more seasoning, and this is a combination of Mrs. Dash, which is a salt-free seasoning that we often use in a lot of our cooking. Some black pepper, some more rosemary, some more thyme, and some more basil. We're going to add water. This is 8 cups. I'll need more than 8 cups, but that's what I'm starting with. Raw apple cider vinegar. Since my turkey bones are pretty much sucked dry from pressure canning, but there's still some life in them, and I want to suck everything out of the bones that I possibly can that's nutritious, half a cup in this big batch. And we'll see, probably just 4 more cups of water. All right. So that's roughly 20 cups of water in here. We're also going to add some minced garlic. A couple tablespoons. All right, I've got it turned up to 350 for now. I want to get it good and hot and get everything flowing. And keep it probably about 150, 200 overnight. And then I'll show it to you tomorrow when it's cooked down. I'm going to start putting the turkey into these pint jars. I pack it in and try to fit as much turkey in there as I can. Once I get these jars filled with the turkey, then I will ladle some of the broth over top. I usually pack the meat to the bottom of the neck of the jar here. Well, I got 19 pints. I wound up not doing any quarts just because I had more pints available than I do quart jars. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ladle this broth in the jars here. And now that all of the jars have broth in them, they're anywhere from a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch headspace. I'm just gonna use a damp washcloth and wipe the rims off. That way the seals adhere to the jars. Now we're just gonna put on the lids and the bands. Tighten the bands fingertip tight. So I get it to where it doesn't turn anymore, and then I just do one little turn. So this is my double-decker pressure canner. I've added in 8 pint jars and 3 inches of water. I'm gonna add a splash of white vinegar. And that helps keep your jars clean. Now I'm gonna add the next layer. Add in this other tray. Alright, there's the second layer. Now I'm going to add the lid. Alright, lid is on. The weight is set at 10 pounds pressure. And once it's up to pressure, then these will process for 30 minutes. Let's take a peek at this broth. That looks good. So it's been boiling like this for about an hour, hour and a half now. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it down. There they are, and they're already sealing, as you can hear. I'm just going to let them sit here overnight, and in the morning I will wash the jars because there's some fat residue on them just from processing, which is normal. I always wash my jars of meat that I can really well before we store them away.